Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our special season verdict show. We try to do this club by club thing and it never works. So we got like a nice little panel. We're just gonna talk about a few good questions about the season, and we'll try and see where we get. And we'll try to get there without any fights or any blow ups because you got Adarsh and you got Sagar here, and I'm just kidding. I'm sure everything will be fine. But nonetheless, it's been a long time since I've had guests on this show, so it's fantastic. And so for the first time, I think Rohit, welcome. It's like the Spider-Man thing, right? I'm Rohit, you're Rohit, like that, yeah. But it's nice to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, glad to be here, man.
Yeah.
So, a very long season. It's good to see faces here, actually. So, usually I follow the chats very religiously, the banters and everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's always good to have faces. And then we got Sagar as well, back on the show as well. Sagar, nice to have you as well.
Always a pleasure, Rohit.
Yeah. Yeah, and finally you got Adarsh, was trying to control his smile. He's like, I want to smile, but I don't want to smile. But he's there. Adarsh,
It's
are you sober? I think that's
somewhere.
the most important question. Are you sober now, or do you still have a hangover?
Yeah. Today I'm sober. Yes. Yesterday I was sober. No. That's
Yeah,
a
yes.
nice
Yes.
question. But I'm glad to be back on the show, Rohit. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It's
I
been a
think
while. Yeah.
is this the first time this season that you're on the show? I feel like it's the first time. Like I don't think
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
done
This
it.
season, I guess it's the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the season, right? Well, I mean, it has been a topsy-turvy season, but I mean, let's ask this question, right? Let's get this monkey off the back, and let's start. Others, how are you feeling about City winning the treble? Because you were here, Gaurav was here, and three of us, we spoke about the City season review last year, and I said this. I said it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when City will win the Champions League, and I didn't expect it to be this year. I thought maybe I'd have one more year of trolling and banter, but unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. But how does it feel? Like
Mhm.
for you, a personal City fan, how does that feel?
It's just totally out of the world because until now it was always a doubt for City. Even if you just replay the whole match, the finals, City were very dicey in throughout the whole time. They were very nervous and everything. But this time somehow you can call it luck because you do need luck in the finals sometimes. I would say most of the times. Uh, Out of luck, that fear of not being able to do it or never being able to do it is out. Nobody is going to question the manager or the players that you have never done it. It now it's going to be always about when can you win the trophy again. So yes, it's a very good feeling as a fan, as players as well as manager for Pep Guardiola as well. But it's a very good start. The foundation has been laid. The trophy is already there. Now I'm very confident that it's going to be very fruitful for us in the Champions League. We are going to win more trophies if things sail towards the direction which they are sailing already.
Yeah.
So I'm much more confident now.
And this is such an interesting. We are going to win more trophies. Why don't we as United
Yeah.
fans say we are going to win? So we hope we win more. And I said, we are going to win more trophies. Anyway, well, that's good. We got that out of the way of the City thing. I like to get that out of the way. We'll come back to City actually because I have another question about that. But I'll start with you, Rohit, for this one since this is the first time as well. It's been a unique season because there's a Winter World Cup in the middle of it, right? And we had like
right.
almost like 2 hours of the season. What is your take on that? On this whole thing about a Winter World Cup and all that. What do you think about it? Is it something that you want to see again? Was it something good? Was it something bad? What is your thoughts on that?
So actually, what I feel is the World Cup year will come every 4 years, right? So they have to manage some schedule, right? So be it winter, be it summer, I actually don't care about that because the players should get enough rest, basically. So what I felt this time around, that player had ample amount of rest compared to the previous editions. We saw players coming from the World Cup season and getting injured, not being ready for the preseason, and maybe performing very late in the season. So this time around, I felt like the timing was very right and the schedule was also very good. So it feels like this time around they justified the World Cup season.
Sagar, do you agree with that? Just to get
Not exactly. Yeah, I don't like the idea of being having a World Cup mid-season. Many clubs they suffered because of injuries to their key players. So that is one of the things. And secondly, it breaks the momentum. For some clubs, I think Arsenal's case was something like that. And yeah, so I'd rather have a normal, regular summer World Cup rather than having this thing, winter thing.
Poor Shashwat is not here to hear you say some nice things about Arsenal. I wish he was here to hear that. But no, yeah, I thought I mean, it's okay as a novelty. Like you did it once, you wanted to try it out. Like you said, okay, fine. I just don't think it should happen again because for one, I think there were so many injuries before the World Cup. Like so many people got injured,
Yeah,
just and you almost felt like some players were just going through the motions. Like, oh yeah, let's not get injured.
Mm.
And I think almost after the World Cup, there was like a whole reset, and then you're going again. I don't know, and I never did any videos throughout the World Cup. I was totally out of my mind because I never did. Anyone who's following this channel knows that I never did any videos because just so I don't know, just that's not right. It didn't feel right, but unfortunately, it doesn't matter what we think because Saudi Arabia wants the 2030 World Cup. And they might then we might have another Winter World Cup. So I think this will be
again,
something
yeah.
that might be here to stay, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens with that. Adarsh, coming to you. I mean, I put a video about this, of course, talking about the Ballon d'Or. Who do you think should win it this year? Not who will, not who will. I'm not asking who will. I'm saying who should. There's a difference. Who should win it
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year, according to you?
yeah. I mean, it has to be Haaland because he has won every possible trophy out there. Of course, the only name which comes into the conversation is Messi because of the international trophy, because of the international World Cup which he has won, which is like one of a kind achievement for a footballer, which is something which not every footballer gets to win, even in the whole professional career. But again, apart from the international trophies, when it comes to club football, I don't think Messi had brought the impact with him as when you compare it with Haaland. Because scoring 50 plus goals when you are playing in Premier League in all the competitions, winning all three trophies all together in a season, is a very big achievement, I feel. And it's a bigger achievement than playing for a month and winning a trophy. Of course, it's World Cup. For obvious reasons, it's the biggest trophy in the football competition. But at the
Is it?
same time,
No, that's okay. Sorry.
but at the same time, it's the club football which goes on for a year, and it's something which you fight for throughout the year, for months, for a year, which values so much. Because we have seen in the past, when it comes to Ballon d'Or, players winning the Champions League, they are much more closer to the Ballon d'Or trophy, and players who are not winning the Champions League, they're much behind, even for third or fourth place. So for exact same reason, Jorginho was second or third in the Ballon d'Or last season, right? Because he won the Champions League
2
with
years ago.
Chelsea, and he also won the Euros with Italy. So that was the exact reason. So I guess for me, it has to be Haaland. But if the conspiracy theory is back again, it can be Messi again.
I don't know, that's conspiracy, but I mean, Rohit, it does feel a bit lazy, doesn't it? Every time Messi wins, I feel like it's a bit lazy. Like the people just go, okay, fine, let's just give it to Messi again. I don't know. Do you think Messi should win it, or do you think it should be someone else?
So I think for me, it's like Messi has already won like 7 times, right? So it would be its eighth Ballon d'Or. But the whole system, I feel like the Ballon d'Or system, it's a farce actually. If you see, right? The sports journalist and they kind of they do the voting actually. It's not the fans involved or there's no kind of merit system basically. If you compile the last
Journalists
year,
and
previous year
coaches. It's the
Ballon
journalists
d'Or.
and the coaches and captains of the
Yeah,
national
right.
team.
So everybody, Messi is the apple of everybody's eye. You see, there are almost you don't find any coach or anybody saying that Messi is like a he's like a goat kind of player actually. Okay, so whenever I see like anybody competing with him is in this Ballon d'Or trophy, right? His balance, right, always gets tilted towards Messi.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll win it again because last year also he had Copa, right? And
No, but it was
the
Benzema who won it last year.
Benzema, before Benzema actually, where he was robbed, where people were saying, right?
Lewandowski was robbed, yeah, because they decided not to have it. Yeah, it's like I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, it feels lazy. Like when you don't have anybody else, you give it to Messi. Anyway, Sagar, since we will ask you as well, this one, who do you think should win it? Should
Definitely for me, it should be Haaland. Before every time when City used to get knocked out of CL, we used to come up with all those things that a lethal striker is something that is a missing piece of jigsaw in this City team. And as soon as Haaland came, already the City team, which was like 9 on 10, 9.5 on 10, they suddenly went up levels above, and the impact was for their for everyone to see. And he scored goals for fun, and they have such a good midfield, so even they had a lot of fun just feeding the ball to Haaland. So yeah, he helped the team tremendously, and they won every possible trophy, I mean every possible major trophy. So
No, they didn't. Well, they didn't win
yeah.
the Carabao Cup. Saga, they didn't win that one. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I get what you mean, though. No, I get what you mean. You know what? I put this out on
yeah.
my video. I don't think Haaland should win it. I don't think it should be Haaland who should win it. If it's gonna be, it's gotta be Gundogan. I would give it to Gundogan because for me, as much as you said lethal striker, the reality is Haaland didn't score in the semi-final or the two finals. It was Gundogan who got them across the line. So I would actually give it to Gundogan. If not Gundogan, I would actually say Bernardo Silva. For me, Bernardo Silva is the X factor in that City team. No, he just goes under the radar every time, and every summer I hear
But
Bernardo
we have
Silva is
seen that,
leaving.
right,
Yeah,
Rohit?
but in
In
that
previous
case,
matches,
I
right?
would say we should give it to KDB. KDB is the first person,
Eh,
yeah,
eh,
who
eh.
comes.
Here comes the
I know,
biasness,
no,
the United biasness.
no. I feel KDB or Haaland. No, the thing is KDB and Haaland get a lot of press, but actually, if you take Bernardo Silva out of that, he's the X factor. And every summer
Yes,
I hear he's
yes.
leaving, and I get so happy. Yes, he's leaving, and then he doesn't leave. It makes me sad this year. But it's
Apparently, he
actually
has agreed terms with PSG.
you hear
Just
that
on
all
a
the
side
time.
note.
You'll hear that all the time.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
agreed terms
if
with
you ask
Barcelona.
me,
He
uh,
agreed terms with
it
Barcelona.
would hurt me more as a fan if Bernardo is leaving and Gundo is leaving. I would say Bernardo any day
So
because
Gundo
he
is
is.
already 31, right? He's
Yeah,
already
he's 31.
31.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
No,
I think
Gundo is
Bernardo is 30
32 if I'm
also.
not wrong.
Yeah, Bernardo is in his
Yeah,
30s.
Bernardo is
32.
28, 29. Bernardo is,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
has a third.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, yeah.
Bernardo is going to hurt a lot because of his adaptable.
No,
So
we
when,
lost. We
so when
lost.
we are talking about adaptability, the one thing I would like to say, I won't say love about Pep, but I hate about Pep is like he takes the player and he kind of puts in him any position and they kind of start performing like they were playing from the day one with Pep Guardiola. That's
Yeah,
the
Yes.
thing I miss,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Actually, I would actually even think about John Stones, but I know they'll never give it to John Stones. That kind of player will never win a Ballon d'Or. So that's out of the question. But my pick would
What
actually be
what an impact he's had for the City
yeah,
team.
my pick would actually
Tremendous,
yeah. So
tremendous.
realistically, the kind of player that will win it probably should be Gundogan, but we all know it will probably be Messi. He's got a good PR team around him. I'm pushing for that. I'm
Even
just
their
kidding.
team
I'm
actually
just
in these awards, right? I think they have a front hand basically, right? Once Ronaldo was out of the picture, right? Messi, it was a cakewalk for him, previous Ballon d'Ors.
yeah.
So,
Anyway, well, let's see what happens. Speaking of Manchester, I don't want this to make this whole Manchester City appreciation thing. But we got one final question about Manchester City. We'll stop it after that, I promise. Sagar, do you think they can do the quadruple next season? I mean, they're already in a treble now. Do you think there is a possibility of a quadruple next season? That's a logical step, isn't it? That you go. Do you think they can do that? They got stopped by Southampton,
Uh,
by the way, and
and
something happened.
yeah, Southampton of all the
All
teams.
teams, yeah.
Yeah, that's very shocking. Anyway, I feel they can surely go for a domestic treble, but as far as Champions League is concerned, I think Real Madrid are moving in the right direction. And if that's a big if they manage to sign Mbappe, then that could be one team to look out for. Otherwise, yeah, City, they are just, I always say that they are a system driven team, very fluid. They play like a very well oiled machinery. So there's it's very tough to stop them even next season.
Yeah.
So
Adarsh, what do you think? A diplomatic answer, but yes or no, I think.
I mean, it would be a no from my end because
Jinx, because
winning.
Jinx. Because Jinx.
No, no, I'll keep the jinxing apart from this one because winning a treble is something which happens once in a lifetime for every year, for every club. I mean,
It
if you look
happened
at
twice for
uh,
Bayern and twice for Barcelona.
Bayern was the only club is the only club which happened twice.
Barcelona.
Barcelona happened twice. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Barcelona
Once
also
with
happened
Guardiola and
twice.
then with Enrique.
Look at Real Madrid. Have they ever won a treble? They are the most prophilic club ever in football. They have never won a treble, not even once. So saying that City would get quadruple next year is very, very layman term as of now. But if luck goes in our favor, why not?
I think it all depend. I mean, I'm sure there will be a bit of a hangover at the start of the season for City. I think just after the whole emotional ride that they've been. But if they're in all competitions in February, if they're about say 6-7 points off of the leaders, if they're not the leaders, if they're there going in, they will do it. It's because it's the squad depth. I think it's just squad depth, right? You can. It's literally everybody else,
Amazing.
plays their
Amazing
blood.
squad.
It's the thing, right? Everybody else plays their guts out to get 6-7 points clear of City, and then City are like, oh yeah, we're investing. It's okay, yeah, we're fine. All right, now you've got a pins in and rotation anyway. But then let's see what happens. I don't think they will do a quadruple. I think it's a bit of a leading question, but I do think they will win the Premier League again. And I do see them at the moment. At least I can't see anybody stopping them in the Champions League either. That could change, obviously. But the FA Cup and the League Cup, I guess it depends on how they want to approach that. Do they want to play there? Do they want to take it seriously or not? So, but we'll see what happens. And with that, we will stop the City questions for now. I think. I want to let's because Sagar brought it up, Rohit. He brought up Mbappe. Let's talk about Mbappe because Mbappe had another he had a wonderful World Cup by then, probably the best player in that World Cup final, which he ended up losing. And then he sees obviously Manchester City winning a treble. He sees Haaland, and it's probably going to be his competition going forward as the main man. He sees him in the Champions League. Somewhere now he's decided he wants to leave PSG. Now he said he wants to stay one more year. Apparently, he said he wants to stay one more year. We don't know if it's lip service, if it's real, but how do you see this? He obviously does he need to leave PSG now? Where do you think he ends up if he does leave PSG this year?
Yes,
We'll start with Rohit. We'll start with Rohit here. Sorry.
Real Madrid are the ones who can pay that amount of money. So I feel like the only destination which he has, right, is Real Madrid. Until unless City think of, but I don't see it happening in years' time. They have Haaland. Okay. So I feel like he should move from PSG because I feel like PSG is just a team bunch of individuals. They don't play as a team. So I don't feel like he would be winning Champions League at any time around for PSG. City have broken the hoodoo, but I don't feel like PSG doing it in near coming future. Okay, so for him, it's best to move on from PSG and go to a team where, right? Because see, in PSG is a single man army. Okay, and he has to have the support system to make you win trophies. He cannot do it on his own, right? So he has to move to Real Madrid where they have a system. They need a striker since Benzema is gone, right? So there he's the best fit. And I feel like Real Madrid reaching the heights again with him since they similar to the time when they had Ronaldo and Benzema, right? Yeah. So I feel like it's right time to move on. And just to add one more point here, I feel like Kane should also move, but it's up to him, man. So
Kane is a difficult one. I mean, we could talk about Kane. I think he doesn't want to leave the Premier League.
It's not up to him. It's up to Daniel Levy.
No, if he forces for it, if he pushes for it.
Is done.
He tried to force.
He's good for nothing.
No, I mean, but he's got 1 year left in his contract. He could if he wanted to. I think he just wants to stay in the Premier League, and he knows that Levy will never let him go very easy to a Premier League team, which is a little bit. Anyway, that's the whole question. But anyway, Saga, tell me about Mbappe. Kane as a depressing fact. I think he stayed at Spurs for way too long than he should have. But I mean, it's always depressing to talk about him. But what do you think about Mbappe leaving? He said Real Madrid or Manchester City. Do you think that is those are the only clubs that are in there? Hint, hint.
Well, financially,
I know what you're doing there.
No, financially, definitely there are other clubs also who can afford him. There's United, there's Bayern, even they can afford him. But I think the only destination for him, what even he has in mind is Real Madrid. But I don't see Mbappe alone, taking Madrid to the next level because he likes, to operate more on the wings rather than playing as a sole striker. So maybe having Mbappe and then plus buying one more striker, proper striker, number 9. So, that could take Madrid to, again back to new heights. And Madrid is the ideal destination for him.
Yeah, what happens to Vinicius Junior, right? If that happens, if he comes in and plays left wing, and then you get another striker. I've got a hold on that because you actually got a surprise, and there's something that's going on. You've actually got a surprise guest who's joining as well. He's just about joining. He's a bit late. We'll just give it a minute. And always one of these things like a surprise appearance, but we'll give it a moment. Ajit is just joining us on the show. He's getting set up, so we'll give him some time. But Mbappe, you know what? I think the only thing I think about Mbappe going to, there they go. We got Ajit. Are you here online? Can you hear us? Okay, he's still trying to connect. Right. The only thing I think about Mbappe is that I mean there is option of going to Manchester United if Qatar take over. That is a deal that could be done. But again, it's the same issue with Qatar, with United as well. Where does he play? He doesn't want to play as a striker. He's been very clear about that. And Rashford is already playing on the left wing. Do you play him as a striker? Do you play in a 2? You go to a 3-5-2 or something like that. I mean, the back 3 is in vogue now, thanks to Manchester City. So just don't know.
We can do a straight swap with Jadon Sancho and Mbappe. Sancho and
no, if only it were that simple. I don't think PSG won Jadon Sancho. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with it. Ajit, are you online? Is he there? No, I don't think he's there.
Yeah, hi.
There we go.
Everybody.
Hi, Ajit, how are you doing? You came at the right time because you came at that time because you finished the thing with Manchester City, so you don't have to think about that anymore.
Oh no, I wanted to congratulate my friend Mr. Neem if he's there on the call.
He is here. He's right here.
I should be happy.
You mind twisting your phone so that we can see more. Yeah, play. There we go.
I'm working from home today, so
that's cool. We're actually recording, but go ahead. Yeah, you can send your message to Mr. Nim.
Yeah, Mr. Nim, congratulations, man.
Thank you so much.
All the banters aside, but good job.
You know, Adarsh didn't actually play in those games. You know,
I was about to say the same.
But it's a good job. He scouted and picked the right club to support.
It was a tough task, like choosing United or City. It was just I was in the same city. I was in the same Manchester City. But
I think you were just a contrarian. You just wanted to be a contrarian. Anyway. Cool. Well, thank you, Ajit, for joining as well. We're actually talking, and we're halfway through. Actually, we've got a few more questions to rattle off. So we'll come to this one, Adarsh. So there's a lot of talk about a fire sale at Barcelona this summer because Barcelona keep losing players, and they had all these financial problems. But actually, there's a fire sale happening at Chelsea as well, because you already seen Azpilicueta, I think, is leaving. Kante has left. They're trying to get rid of Kovacic to Manchester City. They want Kai Havertz to leave as well. They want Christian Pulisic to leave as well. Mason Mount wants to go as well. There's so many players, and Romelu Lukaku as well. As I can't Romelu Lukaku as well. It's a big fire sale. And I just wonder, is it just simply that there's too many players and I need to get rid of, or do you think there is some kind of thing there where Chelsea have got to comply with some sort of financial stuff after all the money that they spent in the summer?
I guess in the winter, it's a bit of both, because this was about to happen when you buy so many players. They bought like 7-8 players in the market, a total of 10 players if you combine the last 2 transfer windows, if I'm not wrong. Players would leave if I am in the same team, and if I see my replacement is already being signed, so I would also be willing to leave. I would hand over the transfer request. Same goes for Pulisic, Ziyech. Every winger, they've signed multiple Mukadede and Mudryk. They found players, they bought players, so the players who were already existing from previous seasons, they would leave. And there would be an overhaul because they are already getting Pochettino back in the Premier League with Chelsea this time, and he has a reputation of assembling a team with the already existing players. But this time at Chelsea, he is getting new players. Maybe he'll get an open bank again if everything is in place when it comes to financial fair play rules. But let's see. Many experienced players are leaving. Thiago Silva is just somehow surviving, I would say. Azpilicueta is leaving. The keeper is still a very big doubt. If they want to play, I guess they would be signing a keeper as well, because Kepa is not someone who can play at in the European levels. Same for Mendy.
Onana,
there are still so many players to adjust with and to buy on multiple positions as well. let's see how Poch take it, because financial fair play would be having a closer look on Chelsea this time.
Yeah. Ajit, what do you think? Do you think there's any players that, I mean, that would be attracting interest from other clubs? Like, I mean, some of the sums have been mentioned ridiculous, but
I
are there
see.
players out there
I
that?
see. Mount is already been targeted by United. Agreed the personal terms, right?
Hmm.
Again, as Nim was mentioning, Mr. Nim, like Chelsea have already accumulated too many players, um, and Poch has a habit of creating teams out of youth, not the star players. Um, and I think these players will push for moving out of the current scenario. They want to do better. They want to play regular football, first team football. So yes, I would say that I think 26 players they have, and I think they will be cutting down at least 6 to 7 players where they want to see a regular football time. So yes, considering they have a healthy team already, but I don't see any incomings. It would only be outgoings, like, apart from Nkuku, who is already been signed by them in the winter. So good chance for other teams. I don't know if they will sell in EPL or if they will be planning to sell outside EPL clubs. So
Well, the
that's the
price
one
is,
thing that
yeah, well, the prices they're
that
asking for, I don't know if anybody will go outside the EPL, but yeah, I mean,
yeah.
no, they got, yeah, and Kunku, I think Malo Gusto also was signed, and I believe they will look for a goalkeeper, as others said. So, to
Yeah.
keep an, yeah, one to
Yeah.
keep an eye
I
on.
read in one report, as per the Athletic, there was a point where the squad was so bloated they couldn't even fit in the locker room. Some of the players, they used to stand outside. Yeah, that's what I read.
Oh, they signed a lot of players all at once, right? I mean, that's an interesting case study as well as to how that happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, maybe Todd Bowley felt that Bowley says, "Zindagi na milegi dobara." Spend once, whatever you wanna, whatever you tomorrow spend
That's
today,
what
whatever
you
you
get with American owners.
yeah,
Yeah, he seems
thousand.
like Mr. Levy of Tottenham. Like he will be very stringent. He will not let his price come down for the players. I feel okay. This is how he's gonna operate, and I feel he has got that inflated squad. Now he'll only be wanting to sell them with a good amount. He may sell them to
Yeah,
Saudi, but he will still send them with a good amount.
If you
yeah.
see
So
the Chelsea's business pattern, right, they have always managed to sell players at the right price.
Yeah,
Even
right price.
well, that was
as
before
we,
though. That was under Roman Abramovich. This is a whole new ownership, so we don't know what's going to
yeah,
happen.
it's
But
like 2 years only, right? Three managerial
but they have
changes.
changed the staff, right? The backroom staff has changed a lot, so we don't know. Besides, the prices that they're asking ridiculous. I mean, 80 million pounds for Mason Mount. Like I just,
No,
you know,
not more than 45 or 50 million, man.
50 is also too much. I was at 30. My would be 30. I said
30,
30 or not.
30,
It's
Yeah,
so
30
close,
plus
Liverpool.
right?
5 in bonus
Yeah,
is
Liverpool are getting
my
freaking
thought.
Alexis McAllister for freaking 35
I
million
don't know, man.
pounds.
How did they manage to steal him at that price,
I have
actually?
no idea.
Very
Oh,
like, I don't know. How
seriously.
did they do this?
Yeah,
So
I
it's like
mean,
15 million is dirt cheap.
I know.
They have a
What's
habit to do so.
yeah.
Mm.
Apparently, his contract has some clauses up to 20 million, which are
20 is
practically
like very less,
yeah,
right? Comparing he's a World Cup winning squad member,
yeah,
right?
35 plus 20, 35 plus 20. 35 is the upfront fee,
Yeah,
and
but 20
20
that's
are the
bonuses that
add-on.
will happen if he does
Yeah,
well.
but they
Then
are
they pay it like
achievable. They are achievable bonus. It's what I read,
well as
but
long
still
as
a steal.
well, as long as it's not like Martial clauses, right? Ballon d'Or clauses. What can happen? Anyway, well, I mean, move on to one of the heartbreaking stories. But personally, it was heartbreaking for me when it happened. Sagar, I don't know if you watched it. If not, I mean, I saw Borussia Dortmund last day of the season. Just needed a win. In fact, I think probably needed, yeah, just a win to confirm, that they were going to be champions at home to Mainz, and then they just blew that. And I mean, what do you? I don't know if you watched it, but I mean, you might have read about it. What is your feeling about it? Like
Yes,
when that
I
happened, because
yeah.
it was like once in a decade, literally once in a decade chance to dethrone Bayern, and then they kind of just blew it at that point.
Actually, more than a decade, because last 10 of the
Yeah,
Bundesliga
this is
have been
11
won
now.
by Bayern. So this
Yeah,
was 11th in a
11.
row. So and Mainz, if I remember, they were coming on the back of three defeats or two defeats and one draw. So and plus facing them at home, it was supposed to be a cakewalk, and they went 2-0 down in the first half itself.
Yeah.
So there was never coming back. And plus, on the other hand, Bayern, they had a very good game, especially towards the end. Musiala, he scored out of just nowhere, and it turned out to be, such a dramatic. It gave me a few glimpses of the 2011-12 PL season, which was very heartbreaking for us. But yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, at least in that one, City were ahead and they just won like while they were being ahead. This was Dortmund just blew it, right? That would have been what City fans would have felt if they had lost in 2011-12. That's what it would have been like. They may manage
Yeah.
to avoid that happening, which is good. But Rohit, how do you see Dortmund? Because I feel like it's going to take them a while to recover from this. They've already lost Bellingham now. He's going. Guerrero's gone as well. So they're gonna need a little bit of a revamp in their team, but I don't feel that they're going to be anywhere close to Bayern next season
Uh,
because Bayern are not going to let anyone get this far.
I I
Um,
don't feel they are ambitious enough to challenge
like,
Bayern. They keep selling on their best players, and most of the times directly to Bayern. So they don't have that
okay.
ambition. At least not what I feel.
Yeah,
Even the next season will turn out to be pretty tough for them, I guess.
yeah.
So
How
Dortmund
about
is like a feeder
RB
team.
Leipzig doing very well?
Sorry,
You know,
who is
how about RB Leipzig doing very well in the Bundes? So what are your thought about
Leipzig?
this team? Yeah,
Leipzig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can
Leipzig.
answer, but anyone else wants to answer that one before I do? I mean, they got smashed by City. That helps answer
I
the
Leipzig
mean,
is like,
question.
how do I
RB
say?
Leipzig is just a team which sparks for a match or two and then shadows
Yes.
down, then another spark for a match or two, and then another shadows down. If you see, like, Nkunku has won the most goals award, right? And it's just like 15 to 17 goals in the whole season, if I'm not wrong. And that is
Yeah,
so low.
Well, they lost
post
Because
Lewandowski,
Haaland,
once,
right?
yeah,
They lost
once
Lewandowski. So
Haaland or even Lewandowski left,
post
there is no
Lewandowski.
one. There's
yeah.
no one in the league as a
Well,
striker. Even the greatest club in the whole country, they just have Choupo-Moting
Chocolate.
out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the best they've got to offer.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are bringing in Sesko, who is apparently another one of those next talent type the people dubbed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Sesko's coming in, but then firstly
That
they've lost Nkunku. They're gonna lose Szoboszlai as well, probably to Liverpool. He's gonna go as well. I mean, Guardiola is interesting from Manchester City. They want Guardiola. How many great world class players do just one team need, right? Give a chance to others. But anyway, so I mean that probably answers your question as to what's going on.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the thing is, I mean, the only thing with Bayern is they give you a chance like this, you got to capitalize because they were never going to let you
Yeah,
get this
yeah.
close the next season. They're already looking at they've already signed Guerrero. They're going to, I mean, they signed, I mean, who else? There was another player. They signed someone from Leipzig as well. Lima. They signed Lima as well from Leipzig. So they've already revamped that midfield.
All
They're looking,
players on free. All
yeah,
players on
I
a
know
All
all
free.
players are
players are
free.
free.
Yeah.
They're looking at Kolo. They want to bring in Kolo. So they know what they need to do and they're gonna go and do it. So I mean, that's the tough part is I don't think Dortmund will get this close again for a few years. And I think Bayern and I think the Bundesliga needed Dortmund to win this season. They
Right.
needed it because you need that bit. But anyway, what can we say, right? It's if football is sometimes.
The-
But on the final question, and then we'll get into some like final thoughts on this. I'll start with you, Ajit, this time. Napoli, probably the most enterprising team, at least in the first half of the season, and probably one of the reasons why we should not have a Winter World Cup because they were not the same team after the Winter World Cup. But how
Yeah.
surprised were you that they went on to win Serie A this season, and how much of a story that could be?
Usually, I just read the news from uh, the Italian league, and it is one or two teams I always see they are in the top three, top four, the AC, the Inter, and the UE, and the number four keeps on changing. This time it was very exciting when I saw uh, Mr.
Already,
Napoli doing well, and Shota. I don't know how do you pronounce that guy's name. Who has
Kvaratskhelia.
been a Kvaratskhelia.
Kvaratskhelia.
Kvaratskhelia,
Yeah.
you can call him
Maradona.
Maradona. That's what they call him.
Maradona,
Yeah,
yeah.
from Caradona. So I was watching the Champions League matches and I saw them beating Liverpool comfortably, and that's when I watched back 2-3 matches back from their league, and then I started following them very closely. So it was very good game. They played with full of they were full flowing, um, full of tactics from Mr. I forgot
Spalletti.
the coach name. He's
Spalletti.
gonna quit. Yeah, Stefano. I don't know. Spalletti. Yeah, Spalletti is gonna
Spalletti,
quit. But
Julian.
he did a great job with that guy, and Osimhen also in a good strike rate with him. But yeah, as you said, the Winter World Cup derailed their form. They could not win against AC Milan, and even if you see their league, they did not win the rest of all the matches. They lost two, they drew two because they already won the league. They were very comfortable. But exciting to see who will take over, what will happen. uh, and I believe they have a top 6 teams, the Italian league, and it will be very interesting next season. Again, everybody will be fighting, and let's see how it goes. And well played Inter. I don't know if any Inter fan here. They played very well in
Well,
the finals.
we were all Inter fans for a week, but then we
Yeah, they
no,
really
but I'm
played.
kidding.
Imagine we had to support Lukaku.
Well, I'm actually
No,
not an
not
Inter
that,
fan.
but
Like in
they
general, I don't
really played
support it.
very
Yeah.
well. And Lukaku again, he stood in between that header, and it's again different banter
I think
for
Lukaku should be player of the season for Manchester City. I mean, they should.
yeah. Manchester City should hand over
I'm just kidding.
star of the
By
player
the way,
also.
Ajit
Yes.
bhai just mentioned one very important player, very uh, gem of a player who had a very good season.
Awesome.
Osimhen.
Awesome. Yeah.
Osimhen. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me one good reason why Manchester United or even Real Madrid should not go for him.
He's priced
There
out.
was no.
He's
100
priced out of the
million.
market. They want
Doesn't
150.
matter.
They want one. No, but the thing is, they want 150 million pounds for him. No club can afford to pay 150, and he is very injury prone as well. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but he always has like the 6, 7, 8 week
Yes.
period in a season where he gets injured. I follow a
Still,
lot of
he
He
soccer.
cannot
managed to
play all
score
the matches.
25, 26 goals in a season. That's 2
He
goals.
scored 30
No, but
goals.
this was his
He
first
scored
season
30
that he did
goals.
that. This is his first season where he scored 25, 26. Normally, he always has like 6, 7, 8 weeks where he'll get injured.
It's
Um,
just how the market is now.
Yeah,
Like
but
you have one good season and you go for 100 million and 150
yeah,
million just like that.
true. But I mean,
But
I mean,
again,
again, it's
I'd
priority.
rather
Right?
I'd
Go ahead,
rather
Sagar.
have Kvaratskhelia rather than having Osimhen
No, I
again,
think
he's a
Osimhen would
from
be a
winger
good
that
and you guys
signing.
are
skillful team.
filled with wingers.
Yeah,
No,
I
winger.
know.
He's a
No,
winger.
no.
No,
Yeah, I
I'm
wouldn't
just
want
giving you a
example.
hypothetical example.
Because even for Real Madrid, even if they sign Mbappe, and Mbappe has already made it very clear that he is not someone who will flourish or wants to play as a number 9. He
Yeah.
wants to play as a winger. And they already have Rodrigo and Vinicius there. So either Vinicius will play as a striker, which I don't think is a good idea, and Mbappe doesn't
Or
want
No,
he'll
to play
move
there.
from the club.
it
Or he'll
won't be.
move.
It will be something different. But I mean, if you're
So
looking for a striker, the player you should be targeting is Lautaro Martinez. That's the guy you want. He's not going to
yeah,
cost that much, right? I think with
yeah.
Osimhen, he's just been priced out of the market. He's going to cost a lot. I think most clubs don't want to take that risk because he is a bit injury prone. Yes, he's had one good season, but then someone like that, it's always a risk.
Napoli has
I'm
a
sure
habit.
somebody will be. I mean, if PSG were in that sort of mode maybe 5 years ago, they probably would have made a bid for him. They probably would have tried to sign him. I think now they don't do those kind of signings. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Osimhen. For now, I think he's saying he's okay at Napoli, but Spalletti leaving, maybe he will want to go. I don't know. There's all sorts of things. Anyway, let's kind of get into the final few thoughts. So we'll go around the table for this one. So we'll start off with you, Adarsh. We'll go alphabetically. So we'll start with you, Adarsh. Who's the player that you've been most impressed with this season? Not necessarily the player of the season, but someone who've been most impressed with.
Uh, if you ask me from my particular club, it has to be uh, John Stones because he has been tremendous. I mean, the impact which he has brought in this whole team, either defensively, offensively, the new dynamics he has brought, it's tremendous. And if I tell you a player very, very underrated, that was Polinia, if I'm correcting his name correctly.
From Fulham.
From Fulham.
From Fulham, yeah.
I've been introducing his name in the group from day one because of his interceptions and defensive duties. He has been amazing. And like I've watched his play here and there in the games, and he reminded me of Kante, how he was lunging in with the tackles and taking up with the ball. And that is so good to see a player like this again in the Premier League. And that would be the underrated player for me of the season, not being highlighted, not being on the radar of anyway. But if we are talking about the radar players, that has to be John Stones for me.
Ajit, what about you?
From United perspective, I would say
It doesn't have to be, but sure, okay.
Yeah, I would start with United because that's the team I support. I could see many things where many of the players started performing very well. One has to be one player. If I have to pick, it would the front is always a weak link in this season. But I would see the defender, Mr. Bissaka, did cover up very well in the second half when Delort got injured. If he was not there, we would have lost more games because he is best on one-to-one tackles. So one person I would say most improved would be most unrecognized would be Bissaka. He did very well. Still, we are talking of selling him. I would say not to sell him, hold him for another season. You could see him
Don't think he's being sold. I think they've agreed now that they're not going to sell him.
Yeah, so he would do better because Ten Hag is really working well on him, and I would see him doing better in the coming seasons. And he's the best in one-on-one challenges. I would still go with it.
Okay, man, Bissaka. That's an interesting choice, Van Bissaka. I wasn't expecting that one, but there was a shout out for Alan Van Bissaka. All right, Rohit, what's your pick?
My pick would be Lisandro Martinez. Why I'm saying this because the moment he got injured, right, we were out of almost all cup competitions. And our performance at last became very dodgy. I was afraid like we might be overtaken by Liverpool. But lately Varane got fit and we kind of managed to scrape. And Newcastle, anyways, they dropped points in last few games. So we managed to hold on to the third spot. And from the City perspective, right, I would like to special mention for Ike Gundogan. I feel like the two cups, right, the FA Cup and the Champions League, right, in crucial moments, right, man, his performance turned the tide in the City's favor.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, we don't have to stick to Premier League, but sure.
Yeah. He had a very great impact.
That's okay. Sagar, what about you?
I'd go for two picks, one from the Premier League and one outside the Premier League. So in Premier League, for me, it has to be Erling Haaland because the way he transformed that team, and just like I spoke some time back. So for me, as an impact player, he was the most crucial to City's treble. And outside the Premier League, I would say Kvaratskhelia because such an unknown player. He's a Georgian, if I recall. Yeah. So brought up from such a not a very famous footballing country, and to come up and light up the entire league, and the way he performed, it was phenomenal. So yeah, outside the Premier League, he's the one.
Somewhat, he reminds me of Jack Grealish, his play, because he is also very good on the ball. He is not that speedy. He's not that prophilic in front of goal, but everything he does, the way he moves, reminds me of Jack Grealish. Again, let's see. One is English, one is not English.
Prolific in front of the goal, though. He scored a decent number of goals, if I remember, in double digits. So he was.
Awesome. Yeah. I would have picked Erling Haaland as well. It's impressive. But then I read that Harry Maguire knows his weakness, apparently, that only he knows about. So, I mean, if Harry Maguire knows your weakness, how can you be impressed, right? I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure Harry Maguire knows nothing. But I mean, I would say if you look at United, I probably would say Lisandro Martinez from United perspective would be impressive, but he's not the one that I was most impressed by. I think I will go with, because I like defenders and I want to go with defenders. So I think for me, probably the most impressive has got to be either Ruben Diaz or Nathan Ake. I think those two have been phenomenal. In fact, Manuel Akanji also, as you got to say, shout out, like that guy, was fantastic as well. And the one who breaks my heart every time I see him play well is Julian Alvarez, because every time he does well, I
Alvarez,
go like, what
yeah.
the hell, That was supposed to be us having him, and then he's there. This was fantastic. So lots of good players. I mean, McAllister was fantastic. Caicedo was fantastic. I think we're living in a golden age of midfielders. I think right now, like we just have so many good midfielders out there across world football. It's incredible. But anyway, so many big players to pick from. I think if I had to pick one, probably I would pick Nathan Ake, because I didn't expect him to do as well as he has done. So impressive, surprisingly impressive. That would be Nathan Ake. All right, final one. We'll go reverse this time. So start with you, Sagar. Who's your flop of the season? Who's the one that you just no? It could be
Wow.
across Europe, so it doesn't have to be in England only. But yeah, your flop of the season.
Uh, it's a very tough one.
Tough because there are too many choices or too few choices?
Yeah, too many choices actually, but I would go with Madrid.
Mudrik. Oh yeah, Mikhailo Mudrik. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a strange
Yeah,
one, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that one didn't go, but maybe he'll have a better second season. But yeah, I can understand that's a
yeah.
surprise.
Let's hope.
Mudrik. Yeah. Rohit, how about you?
Jadon Sancho, man. Anytime, day, any moment of the year you ask me, it's Jadon Sancho, man. Had he played
Definitely.
a little 10% also, right? You don't know what would have been a season for United. We had a good season, but it would have been much better had he played very well. So Jadon Sancho, definitely for me.
Yeah. Ajit, how about you?
What was the question? It
The
is the
flop. The
flop
flop of the season. Yeah, flop.
tough one. I would say Son from Tottenham.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah.
was a nice one also.
Yeah, I didn't have
I
the season that
expected,
you thought he would have, right? Like, yeah, he had
yeah, I
such a good
expected him to
season.
do better, but because he did not do, and Tottenham did not do better. Son.
Yeah. Son, it's an interesting one. How about you, Adarsh?
So I have two players from Manchester. One
Okay.
is Jadon Sancho, which I thought would improve this season, but he did not, sadly. The other one is uh, what's his name? The midfielder City bought, Calvin Phillips. Yes,
Calvin Phillips.
I thought, yeah,
Oh,
Indian
yeah.
Phillips, you
I
did not
thought he
allow him
would
to
he
play.
would
How can he be a flop?
yeah, I thought
And
he would
he'll
do
play
decent
when
because
Gundogan
he
retired.
yeah, because he played under Bielsa, and Bielsa and Pep style is very pressing and very strategic. So I thought he would not require much time to adjust, but it's just turned out quite the
So
opposite.
it's
Yeah,
like Guardiola. He
next
kind
year.
of actually gives the players time actually.
Next year,
So
next year.
Yeah.
like next
Next
year
year.
he will play. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
yeah.
Jack
think
Next
Grealish
year.
2.0.
The
You never know.
next year
Let's see.
he'll become prime Claude Makelele. That's what happens with all these freaking City players. That's what. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what
Second season
Adesh
is the
always
charm.
says. Players don't have a very good first season under Pep,
Yeah.
but they do very well in the next season. This is
absolutely.
what I have learned from Adesh. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
It's
I'll never
every.
write off.
That's why.
I'll never write off Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, me
That's
neither.
why
Yeah.
I was surprised with Sancho because I thought he would do much better in the second season, just like Grealish or any other player. But something went wrong
Wingers
for
from
him, I guess.
Bundesliga, right? They don't perform well in English Premier League. It is a fact actually. If you pick
Where
all
is the
the
fact?
Erling
You know,
City,
Haaland.
Gundogan did well.
City,
Haaland
Kanji
says
did well.
hi.
Akanji says
City
hi.
Gundogan is
hardly
a
Gundogan
winger,
says
play.
man. Midfielder. I'm saying about wingers. You
Yeah.
pick any winger,
Kai
Shinji
Kai Kai
Kagawa.
Havertz.
Yeah,
Kai
Kai
Havertz.
Havertz,
Oh,
oh
that's
my
a bit,
God, he's
yeah,
a
I mean, fair
disaster.
enough. Well,
He's a
Sane did well.
disaster.
Sane came, Sane did fantastically. But then, he went back to the Bundesliga, stuck there. So we never know. There's too many choices for flop of the season. Manchester United could have an whole 11 of that. No, they couldn't. But there's at least, I mean, the one, you know what? It's not my flop of the season for Manchester United is not Jadon Sancho. Actually, he's probably number 3, even at best, because you've got Harry Maguire, who's always going to be number one in any list of
It's out
picks.
of the question, man. Harry
I mean, got
Maguire
England relegated, Mister. He got England relegated. I mean, how do you do that? You got England relegated, and then you got Anthony Martial, who I think is just probably, I'm done with that guy. Like, I hope he leaves.
Pathetic player.
I mean, you know, at least Sancho played games, right? Like, even when he only took off because he was, you know, not mentally well. But then he comes back, and Martial just like, I just walked for a bit. Now I'm injured. I can't play this game. God, I mean, you know. But then you also got to look at Tottenham. You got to look at Richarlison. I mean, that player, he scored what? He scored 4 goals, right? And 3 of them got chalked off, and I think, got sent out twice or whatever. Because of the how bad is that? You know, that's just yeah. Just I mean, I don't know what to make of that. It's just sad. And I think then if you go outside of the league, I mean, you can probably find a few more in other leagues as well. I think, who is that? I mean, trying to think of
you want to talk about Mr. Pogba, the flop of the year.
Oh yeah, Pogba. Paul Pogba. Thank you.
Pogba,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh my
How
God.
can you miss him? He was out for majority of the season.
Yeah, he was out for like I think 8 months.
And then he was injured again.
Players not keeping well or players not keeping fit, they are a flop.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, he was. I mean, the Pogba is a curious one. He was out for 8-9 months, and then he comes back and then he gets injured 2-3 weeks again. So it's just a sad one to see. Paul Pogba, yeah, definitely. I missed out on Paul Pogba, definitely. Yeah, probably would be the pick of the flop of the season. I think, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's at the top.
Yeah, but then nonetheless, I think it's been a unique season. It's been an interesting season. One that I hope we don't ever see again, but I'm sure we will in 7 years' time. I just have a feeling we will. But it's just one of those that I mean, you know, I said this. I think this is there are always seasons that define. Sometimes I think in some ways 2011 was when my childhood kind of ended because India won the World Cup. I think 2013 was when my teenage years kind of ended because Sagar retired. I think this is when my adulthood has ended because City have won the one thing that City won the treble, Messi won the World Cup. You know, two things that you always think about Messi versus Ronaldo. You think about Pep versus Alex, and this now kind of feels like maybe in some people's minds the debate is settled. In others, it's not. You know, that will continue. But it just feels like the end of an era. So Ten Hag was right. Eras do come to an end. My era came to an end. You know, somebody else's came to an end. Mine came to an end. But you know, it does feel that way in some sense. But you know, we'll be back again for a new season. We've got about a month, about 3 weeks actually, and then pre-season begins. So we'll have games all over again. And in between, there is a Women's World Cup as well to look forward to. That will happen as well for those of you interested in women's football. Everybody nods their head. I know nobody watches it, but nonetheless, no, but it will be interesting. I think that'll be a fun one to watch as well. We'll do a few reviews of that. But thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you so much, Sagar. Thank you so much, Adarsh, and thank you so much, Ajit, for joining me on this show. It's been fantastic having you and getting all of your thoughts in. Hopefully, we will have you back again as we get more transfer news and things like that. I mean, there's so much happening, and we keep posting videos. And do subscribe. So if you enjoyed this video, do smash a like. And do subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We always love your support. All these 4 guys have done it already, so you know you guys could do it as well. But thank you so much, and do share your comments, do share your thoughts. You know, what do you think? Do you think Adarsh was wrong about everything that he said? He usually is. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
he was like, I'm a very decent man. Seriously.
You say that like as if he's not a decent man. Oh my God. No, I think
seriously, Adarsh, yeah. Comments portray a different picture, but then again,
Adarsh is different. Adarsh is different on social media. He's different when he comes on these shows. But yes, no. But do share your comments because I always love to hear your thoughts as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.